choke is on. This is the kind of thing you really don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out, but you can see what I've already done. Last time Luciano and I worked on it, I marked with it. Now at least once every year, usually in the springtime, what I try to do, you get out the old trusty timing light. Now remember, this bike, this is the only bike I own that has points. So I have to be, a little more aware of things like the timing wandering out of time, or points wearing. And what I do every year is I do this little test. Now, if everything is right on the money, I don't touch a thing. If they're off, if one is off, yeah, I'll set it back to ground zero, but then usually at that point, what I'll do is I'll ask Luciano to check it with his dial indicator, which is a little more involved, a little more accurate, and that would require me riding up to his house. But today I don't have a lot of time, it's a short day, but I will have time for this and maybe polishing up some of these parts that are still on my polish it up list, because we want to get, the whole idea here is we're really not in a nice riding season. Every other day you got to make a decision, but we really aren't in the riding session. And today there's high winds out there and there's stuff blowing into the pond, and Karen's got a honey-do list, and I wanted to try something really funny today that I've been waiting a long time to try. What I do with my granite countertops is once a year I put a coat of flitz on them. And today's the day. Karen says, let's do the countertops today. So timing light, maybe polish some stuff up, and the main thing, drink a lot of coffee. And of course, that's the best part of every day. We all agree. And this is the little zinnias growing. You got from seeds. We got 7 or 8 of them in this one pot. And we got 4 pots, so it's going to be, well, so far it's going to be a zinnia summer. Now I know what a lot of people are thinking. Well, you know, a modern bike, here we are, a nice modern bike, only 10, 11 years old. You don't have to touch a thing. The ignition either works or it doesn't work. It's an on-off switch. But one of the advantages of an older bike that you never think about until you have that day that you're riding your modern bike and something shuts the ignition off, and now you know you need a computer to figure out what the hell it is. So yes, nicer, and I like having both. I like having a modern bike that's very reliable. 10 years we haven't touched much on this. But I love the fact that one of the safety features on an old bike with points is when it starts to go and it runs off, you get a giant warning that something's not right. And if you're smart enough, that's when you take that, you go get it fixed, or you get it checked, or you, God forbid, do the maintenance. What a great idea to replace those windshield wipers before the rainy day comes and one flies off the car, or you get a flat tire because you wanted to get 10 extra miles. I like to do preventive maintenance, and the bike's been running fine. It may not even need any adjustment. This is really preventive maintenance today. And it's a good day to do it because we're not really in the riding season yet. And thanks to this virus, and we may have a long time to do maintenance. I don't know where this is going to play out. But today I'll get that time, number one job, I want to get that timing checked and verified that it's either okay or I really do need to take it to Luciano's. So on an RD, the first order of business is to pull the side cover off, and that'll expose the points. We need to open up the seat to hook up the timing light, and then the timing light that we have, all we do is clip it to an ignition wire, start the bike. I'll let it warm up outside so it idles correctly, and then I can see if the timing marks are in tune. Now the whole thing should take less than a half an hour. It is not that big of a deal to do this. The problem is when you let it go, and that timing starts wandering off, or the points wear, and while I'm here I can put a little tiny bit of grease with a Q-tip on the cam that opens the points. Make sure I have that, well, again, when you do this kind of maintenance on a regular basis, what happens, you usually don't get these big giant surprises that you get when you don't do it. Ask me how I know. Or you're far from home and you say, oh gee, it's been a great ride, I think I'll go and try to get home, and yeah, and then it starts acting funny, and it's not only that you ruin your own day, but what I hate when you ride with a group of guys and you ruin their day too, because you were just too lazy to do this kind of thing. I mean, the gasket, everything comes off at once. and we can get in and see our beloved points. Let me get this up in here. Put that in there. And there you have it. That's all that's really required to do this. 3 screws. And like everything in motorcycling, there's a lot of different ways. You can use the method that's shown in the manual. You can use the Luciano method. There's a lot of ways to do this. But then there's the biggest thing of all. You got to do it. This is the kind of thing you really don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out, but you can see what I've already done. Last time Luciano and I worked on it, I marked with an ordinary Sharpie marker, which is the left, which is the right. Here's the 2 sets of points. Pretty easy peasy. And whenever I do the maintenance, I take a Q-tip and just 1 dab of grease, just the slightest amount of grease on it, and that keeps the points from wearing. Because what'll happen if you let this go for, oh, God knows how long, this will start running dry, and even though this is phenolic, it'll wear a lot faster than if you have 1 molecule of grease on it. I don't know if you can tell, but that wind is really howling. Wow. Chokers on. Now I just want to let it warm up so it'll be idling when I bring it back in the garage. Oh, I love the sound and smell of those 2 strokes. Boy, I'll tell you, that'll wake you up in the morning better than coffee. And you can see the points actually working. It's a thing of beauty. It should be warm enough. It runs without the choke on. Idle's about right. We set the idle on it the other day. Should be fine. Now the idle is right where the factory says it should be, between 11 and 1300. So keep in mind, again, this is not the preferred way. The preferred way is with Luciano's gauge, which probably is a lot more accurate, but this probably will get us at least in the ballpark that we have. Get that wire out here. And all this means is you just get this around one of the spark plug wires for now. There you go. You got to hook up plus and minus to the battery. Make sure that's on there. So it has the look of the left cylinder is pretty much right where it's supposed to be. It's certainly within the thickness of a pencil line. And now I just have to repeat the whole same thing on the other side. So what this has the look of is we didn't lose anything. We're in range on both cylinders here, and it's not even close. So I can't tell if it's any more close, because to do this correctly you need a gauge that goes in a spark plug hole, which Luciano happens to have. And then you bring the piston up to top dead center, and the points are supposed to open at 90 thousandths before top dead center. And that is a lot more accurate than what I'm doing with the timing light. The timing light gets you into the ballpark. I guess that's the old school way of doing it. But I know Luciano will not be available to do it, so I'm going to cut my losses here. And the bike is running within the range I want to run it at. It's running fine. And all I can say is a good lucky day for me. I'm happy. Anytime I do less maintenance, but at least now I know I'm within range and it's not way off the scale one way or the other. I just wanted to show what those index marks look like, because I know it's hard to see through the timing window, but when they're off a little bit, then the points, there's 2 screws you loosen, and as you slide the points forward and back, they just do it at the end of a screwdriver. You can fine tune it. Now since we're in, lucky for us, we're in good shape here, I don't have to do that. But it's always good to check it. I'd rather be one check ahead than one behind. So the final thing is just, again, to put a little bit of grease on this, and I mean just a drop, just what comes off the end of a Q-tip. And maybe that's what keeps this from getting out of tune so often. But it's an easy enough job to do, that's for sure. And by doing it, I sleep better at night, or if I'm going on a ride with a bunch of A-team friends, I'm not going to ruin their whole day by not checking this stuff. And we should be good to go until we get a chance to get up to Luciano's. And now, his method, getting it 90 thousandths before top dead center, you need to buy a tool. I don't have the tool, probably one I should add to my collection in the future, but, or I should just stay friends with Luciano. So anyway, by the good old-fashioned A-team thing of sharing tools, sharing technology, how many things we've all done for each other. It's a wonderful thing. I think it is anyway. And the biggest thing is sharing the information on YouTube. If we were not able to do that, I can't even imagine what a pain in the neck that would be. And boy, there's just so many things that I have taken full advantage of, and I always have to remember to thank the people that share all the information they have. And I remember the first one, actually the first one I remember was Glenn, and we were putting the engine back in his Ducati, and we were wondering if you had to take the water pump off. And he says, oh, I'll find out, I'll just look on YouTube. And I was thinking, yeah, this is going to be real handy. And here there's 5 videos of how to do it without taking a water pump off. So I hope we've added our name to that list. So what hopefully this is going to do is keep the bike reliable until we get a chance to make that little pilgrimage up to Luciano's. And now that he's got a small CC bike, I picture a lot of rides this summer that we're going to be doing the smaller bikes. If we can get Mark Morgan in. I know he has some small bikes, 2 strokes, and when I look back over a summer, those rides always seem to be among the best. So since doing this little evil twin thing, we've changed the exhaust system, changed all the fuel line, changed all the jetting, checked the timing. I really don't even want to put a set of plugs in because these plugs have almost 10,000 miles on them. They're iridium plugs. And when I asked Pete at Circle Cycle if he thought it was going to be worth $10, he said, try it. Well, I'm happy to report they definitely are worth it. Now, one of the things on my list of stuff to do, I did want to check. I really wanted to check the, see if I had time. I really don't have time today. I wanted to do the back wheel. I'm going to save that for another day. And this is one of the pain in the necks of this bike. When I replace this battery, I was trying to keep this bike all authentic and real and everything. I'm done with this, checking the water and battery acid and everything. That bike's going to, by the next time it needs a battery, it's going to have a lithium-ion battery. I also updated let me show this. I did several updates to that kickstand because I had cut the original piece off and nobody had one for sale, including Partzilla. Believe it or not, Partzilla still has some parts for this bike, but all the ones I would want, they don't have. Now, I also I'm checking in with Dave Midgley. I should hear from him in the next couple of days. He may or may not have a source to get a couple of parts re-chromed. Now, that headlight rim, for one, the pits are so deep in that headlight rim, I know I can't get them out. But if he does, well, hopefully we can do some of the little parts on this bike. Because there's a point at which you can refurbish and polish, and then there's a point at which you have to pretty much bite the bullet. But we've got this, I've got this restored from, it was really in rough shape. In fact, I got to look around and see if I have some pictures of this when we first bought it. First off, it was red, and I think it was not maintained to the high, that would be a nice way to put it. And as I went over the bike during the restoration, I would downgrade that if I had stars, like from 10-star maintenance to 8 to 7. And at the very end of it, I thought, oh my God, this guy did not do it the way I would do it. Now, modern bikes don't have any of these fittings. There's a fitting for the swing arm bushing, and while I'm doing maintenance and it's time to get it ready, I'll get the grease gun out, grease all the bushings. There's several. I think there's one on the other side too, and again, I try to do the maintenance, and I really do try my best to do it before something gets rusty, ratty, and fails. Now, I do remember a funny story. It was in the motorcycle magazine. Kevin Cameron shared the story. Years ago, he checked race bikes, and he checked 2 race bikes that the guys had put the swing arm in and never put the bushing in, and the back wheel could move around. But they were so excited about the race, they never even knew it until he checked it and diagnosed the problem. Well, you know, when you're in the heat of battle, well, when you get into those racing modes, those kind of things happen. But when you're in the garage freezing and, you know, just trying to do normal maintenance, well, you hope we can just be a little more patient. Sometimes all it takes is one little shot of grease, and you prolong the life of something in a way you can't even measure. From 1 minute of maintenance can be, wow, can really work to your favor. You can even see the grease ooze out there. I like old school things where you can see the grease oozing out. I used to love, when I had my first car and I got a job in the gas station, the guy let me use the lift at night when there were no customers, and put it up on the lift. I'd grease that car every day, oh man, 3 times a week, grease it, grease it, grease it, grease it. And a month later, it needed a front end job. I didn't realize it was worn out when I started greasing it. Those are the great memories you have of growing up in the 50s and 60s and whatever. Now, I just realized yesterday when I was in a rush at the end of the day, and I did check this, and I found out it was fine, but I wanted to show it just for the benefit of the people that have these RDs and work on them and share information, because boy, every time I watch a video and I say, wow, I didn't know that. Now, a good thing, I want to just share something that's really important. I have used Weller soldering guns for my whole life and never realized when you pull the trigger all the way back, it's the low setting. When you just plus it in 1 click, that's the high setting. I never knew that. As brilliant as I am, John Parthia told me that trick. He watched me solder on YouTube and said, hey, 1 click in it's the opposite of what you think. And when you pull it all the way in, it's the low setting. Well, a lot of times, what I find out is when you're working on something, like setting the points or setting something else, there's always a trick. When I watched Vince work on Bob Navola's bike, and he has gauges and dials and, you know, things, I'm watching and I'm amazed, because as everybody knows full well, I'm not Mr. Electricity, but I always try to learn and I always try to share. And I wanted to show this just to show what the scenario is for the oil pump setting. I'll show. This is just for reference. I've already made the adjustment and it was very slight, because what happened, and I'll explain why. When I open the throttle, that has to line up, that piece right there, that little line on the middle of the oil pump. And you adjust the quantity of oil with shims, and since I got the bike and it was running good and it smokes plenty, I figure the oil pump's doing a good job. I don't have to spend too much time worrying about it. But if the adjustment is up here on the cable, if you were to put a new throttle cable in, you'd want to make sure that that's right. You wouldn't want to just, you know, just take a wild chance that it's right, because I guess, and my feeling is, if it pumps too much oil, nothing bad happens. It smokes, and maybe you have to clean the baffles a little more often. But if it doesn't give you enough oil, now I play, and I'm sure this is overkill. I always put 1 little 2-ounce thing of the same oil I use in the 2-stroke oil. Just, I don't know why, and I'm sure it's overkill, but I do remember, you know, when you seize up a bike, especially if you're going 80 miles an hour, it gets your full undivided attention, and you really never want that to happen again. So even though today was a short day, I always feel a lot better when I know I've done some useful maintenance, and especially in the case of this timing, when it turns out it's really overkill, everything was okay. Now, I really didn't get to show setting the points and that, but again, I'm sure we're gonna do that when Luciano does the timing. His will be a lot more accurate, and if you have a chance, of course, you always want to do it with the dial indicator. I may have to buy one of them. I don't know. And if I do, then I can show it. Well, I'll get Luciano to show it on the video when we go up to his house and make him a movie star instead of me. But anyway, all these little things, they all add up. If you do this once a year, pretty much you're going to have an uneventful summer. Now, I got one other thing that I wanted to replace on this, and I want to show what it is before I actually say we're ready for surfboard summer here. In the course of doing this bike, I had changed out the fork springs. Now, and I've changed the shocks and everything. And I have known right from the very beginning that the brake line was right at the end of its travel when the forks are fully extended. Now, I said, you know, I got to replace that. Well, you know what happens, and it's shame on me for doing it. Every time I'll do that next week. You know, I'll do that next month. I'll do it. Well, now with the coronavirus, and now with having basically unlimited time here, I decided, you know, maybe I ought to get off my ass and fix it. That might be a great idea. Well, I went online and I ordered brake line for this, and I know I need one of the ones on the Kawasaki it was rubbing on the triple tree here, and it wore a spot right through. So I know this, yeah, I might have been able to get away with it, but what's going to happen is the day it fails, you're always 100 miles from home. It's always going to happen on the nicest day, and all your friends, or if you're riding alone, it's even worse. All your friends are going to go, oh, this idiot, why didn't he do this at home? And I have been with enough people that have either crashed bikes or some other crazy thing happened that ruined everybody's day. And they break, and things you can't avoid and things you can avoid. Well, this is one I hope, you know, maybe I can avoid if it's my lucky day. So anyway, we're going to be doing that brake line as soon as they come in stock. And in the meantime, I feel like we've had a really productive week with working on this bike. We even got to ride it a few times, and that was unexpected because the 650 project, that got done way ahead of time, so it gave me a lot of extra time to get him in shape. So anyway, the message of the day: do the maintenance, change the windshield wiper before it flies off and hits the guy behind you. So once again, it's the best time of the day. The best time of the day is always you get something productive done, it worked out better than you thought it would, and everything was okay before you checked it. Everything's even better now because you know it's okay. The best of all worlds. Anyway, there's some funny things happening right now. The last 2 days, and I just should share a short story. I've been out in the garage like this, and the wind has been howling. The weather doesn't really show, you don't really see it on the video, but the wind is howling. And a branch from a neighbor's tree, actually it's where Gil lives, fell on the roof of the garage. I wasn't shooting video, and I went, ah! I thought somebody dropped a nuclear bomb from a B-58 on my garage. It got my full undivided attention. It was funny. And when I told Karen, I said, you know, we're used to now that Treezilla's gone. I'm not used to hearing things hit the roof of the garage. Just totally caught me off guard. Gil would have a good laugh about that. Anyway, I'll look on the archives and see if I have some funny stuff from the A-Team or whatever to put on the end of this video. This was a short day. It was a good day, and I will sleep better tonight. So before the video ends, I'll say thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the video. So today I looked through the archives of all the old A-Team days that we had from years gone by, and boy, I never realized I literally have thousands of pictures. And here's some that I think are worth sharing. And there's some funny memories here. Now, you can see how the garage was years ago, and the different rugs, different bike parts, and different laundry baskets and everything. There's always good memories. Now, what we were doing this day, we were working on Luciano's Ducati Desmo Quattro to make a pizza pie or something. I think we were repainting some parts of it, and we all got together for an A-Team day, and it looks like that was one of the parts, has the look of. And I removed some of the old stickers now, and I'm going back in my mind trying to remember. But I do remember something. This is what I remember the most. I tried to talk Luciano at this point in time into repainting the whole bike, which would have required a quart of paint, $70, $80. And instead we decided that we're not going to repaint the whole bike. He's going to only repaint parts of it. I don't remember what parts. I guess we're going to see on this video here, because this was an A-Team day. This was a day where everybody got together and worked on bikes in my driveway. If I remember right, Najat came over and Luciano and who, you never know. Lauren was supposed to be here this day to work on her bike. And so, well, it was a nice sunny day, and Glenn was learning at this point in time. I shouldn't say learning, he knows, but he was trying to upgrade his painting skills and Bondo skills, and I was teaching him the tricks of repairing bodywork using CA. And oops, there we are, CA, Brodax CA. And we were doing this work together and sharing the information and sharing our love of old motorcycles. This yellow bike used to be, that was Luciano's first Ducati, if I remember. Maybe I'm wrong. That he bought from Joe Roselli. And so Joe, that's how we met Joe, actually. And here's some of the reinforcements, because all of these body panels, they always crack and break and snap and whatever. And oh, here he comes. And this is some of the things we were trying to repair. Now, when I look back, and this is his ST2 or ST4, I don't know what the numbers are, these bikes. This is the one that the engine had a broken engine mount. And we had to take the engine out and take it up to, I can't think of the guy's name, up on 59. Anyway, this was funny. Luciano came by at his 999. I don't know who else is here. I can't see from the pictures. But this is why having these pictures is so priceless, because you'd probably forget some of the fun of this day. And this is the guaranteed to be exactly the right color yellow, which of course wasn't a good match. And at the end of this, I don't remember what we had to put decals on or repaint it, or all I remember is we had a fun day. And I mean, this is why I love having these pictures. I can't tell you how much I love having. That's Najat's bike. So this must have been a pretty big. Oh, there's Najat, the handsome GQ model, and we give him a hard time about being so svelte, and he's had this. I gave him a hard time about having his bag. Now I don't know who this is. This is the A-Team. This is long time ago when we was fab. That was the A-Team. Is the A-Team. Was the A-Team. That was Najat. He is. Now he's still, I just talked to him recently, in fact. But anyway, the point I like to share these videos so much is, what I really love about them is, this is some snacks Karen made, and we sat out, oogled the bikes. Yeah, we did that thing Dale likes to do, and oh my God, just hanging out. This was a priceless day. This was priceless. And I can't tell you, by looking back at this, I don't know how Luciano, for instance, feels, or any of the other people feel, but here's when his new 999 was a sparkling. Oh, look who else joined us this day. Oh my God. Look at this. Unbelievable. But we really did have a good time. Maybe I'm not remembering this exactly right. I think this is the day Jose brought this the 100 pack of donuts from, and of course he ate 92 of them. And here they were all oogle and bite. Yeah, look, there's donuts there. That Jose brought all those donuts. Oh my God, we were having a great time. And I do miss Najat. I just miss having these 18 days. Look at the garden is in full bloom, and look at a flower pot. Karen had flowers growing, and you know what happens when you get near the end of your life and you look back at some of the fun you had. I have to think that I've been lucky enough to have a good life. I just have to have in my mind, because I know people that don't have this fun. I know people that they spend their whole life sitting at a bar looking at an empty glass of beer or something that wouldn't appeal to me anyway. But this lifestyle that I've been lucky enough to have, and the friends I've been lucky enough to have, and having Karen, of course, and my whole family, and all my friends that I treasure. Now, here they are. Look at these bullshit artists acting as if they know what they're doing. What an imposters we have here. But anyway, they did get this painted. And Glenn went on to become a really excellent painter. I know that. I know we repaired his track bike the first day he bought it. It was over here. Then we repaired it after he crashed it. Then I don't know if he stopped repairing it. This is when he had his fitted for his earrings. what a good life we've had. And I hope you really enjoy sharing it with us on the videos. And, you know, in a way, if you're not part of the A-Team and you're watching these videos, you really are part of the A-Team, whether you like it or not. So thanks for watching. So Lauren, this is for you. You said you're going to be here today. And then we get this late email that, you know, you were out late last night and partying with the Beatles or whatever you do. You know, I'm hearing bad rumors about you, girl.
Bad seafood.
Bad seafood, nothing. You should be here sanding. We got work to do here today. This is not a play day. Right, Glenn? Of course, right.
Having fun is not a bad rumor.
No,
it's a good rumor.
Tell Lauren she should be here.
She won't get paid today.
Yeah, well, no pay.
No pay today.
Take that picture of her and tear it up. We had a nice picture of her.
Poisoning or not, you get here.
Yeah, we're sick doesn't count here.
That's right.
This is not a government job. You get paid if you don't show up.
Sure.